Welcome to the Body Language Show this morning, you guys. Online, we have about 200 people who are joining us today. Could you guys turn and wave at the camera? Because we want to say hi to all of them. And then a big round of applause for everybody who came live today. This is awesome. We're glad you guys are here. Hey, Cameron, can you get me a handout so that I can hold one and show it to them? Okay, I'll borrow his. Can you get him a handout? So here is our handout. If you have one, show me yours. So I know you have one. Fantastic. The first thing I want to draw your attention to, the second thing, the third thing. Okay, so here's the first thing. This is the Body Language Show. So if you thought you were arriving at something else, that's okay, you can stay anyway. So welcome to the Body Language Show. And I am Ann Washburn. So if you wondered who I was or you forget, you can turn to the front. That's who I am. And if you forget what I look like, there's a picture of me on the back. Although I have curly hair today and straight hair there. But this part right here, the three voices of communication. In communication, there are three different ways that we communicate information. There's our words, there's our tone of those words, and then there are our gestures. All three of those communicate information. Is that true? And do we very carefully use some of those voices? Are you careful with the words that you choose when you speak to people? Sometimes. Thank you for being truthful on that. Sometimes I should be maybe more careful with my words. But what about the tone of the words? Oh, that one we can calculate, right? We'll pick the word, but then we code it in this tone of voice that causes it to just it's kind of like a curveball in baseball, right? You throw the ball, and that tone just causes it to curve and poke just right. You guys would never do that, right? Well, I happen to know women especially are really good at that. And especially if the woman is married, she gets really, really good at that. So we practice with our tone of voice. But our gestures, sometimes people practice with their gestures. It's usually while driving down the freeway and they roll down the window and hold their arm out the window, or just parts of their hand out the window. So that kind of body language is practiced, but we don't really practice the rest of our body language. So here's the question for you. If the words send a message, and the tone sends a message, and the body language sends a message, what if they all three send a different message? What would then happen? It'd be confusing. It would be what we call miscommunication. Had you thought about the fact that your words, your tone, and your body language can all be sending three different three different messages at the same time? And so if you're talking to somebody and they send three different messages, which one would you choose to decide what their meaning is? The words, the tone, or the body language? Well, that's what they wondered about a few decades ago. They did a study in this, and they said, if different messages are sent from the same person with their words, their tone, and their body language, which one will people pay the most attention to decide what the person means? And what they found was very interesting. If I draw it as a pie chart, they found that if they don't match, only 7% of the time would people use the words to decide what the real meaning was that was coming from that person. Only 7% of the time. But yet words is what we practice the most. I have a child in junior high and a child in high school right now, and they are both required every single trimester to take language arts. And what do they practice? Words. They don't even practice the tone of the words. They don't practice the body language, but we work all this hard work on the words. But yet if they don't match, people are only going to use the words 7% of the time. You think about it. If you're talking to somebody and they come up and they go, yeah, I'm having a great day. Do you believe their words? No, because they're sending more message non-verbally. They're sending a bigger part of the message through their non-verbal communication. So then in the study, they found that 36% of the time, people would make the decision of what was meant by the tone of those words. The tone of the words mattered more. And you know this because we have a word in English called sarcasm. And sarcasm is the word that's used to describe when words and tone don't match. And we're very practiced in sarcasm. And can sarcasm be costly? Can it be painful? Can it be harmful? Absolutely. And so that's why we have a whole word for it in the English language, sarcasm, because the tone and the words don't match. So if you are doing the math, what percentage was left in the study here for the gestures or the body language? 57% of the time, they would use the body language to decide what the meaning was. 57% of the time. But yeah, remember, here's my kids. They're in school every trimester. They got to learn about those words. They got to diagram those sentences. They got to do the spelling tests. But nowhere in there are they required to do the body language test. They don't have to do the voice tone test. They're only doing the word test. And so now we grow up into adulthood. Well, some of us age into adulthood, but don't really grow up into adulthood. But we get to adulthood and we're like, I am just kind of winging it through life. Anybody ever felt like you're winging it through life? I'm just curious. Nice. Me too. Because here I am. Well, let's talk about 10 years ago. Here I was 10 years ago, and I could not figure out why I did not get the results interacting with people that I was trying to get. I would try to be nice to people, and they would get angry at me. I would try to interact with people, and I would get in trouble. I felt like I was in trouble all the time, or somebody was mad at me. And it was a very frustrating place to be. I didn't like it at all. It felt like I worked really hard. I put lots of effort out, but my results were low. I bet you felt that before, where you put a lot of effort out in something and you get a low result back. It is very frustrating to be operating in life that way. And so I didn't really enjoy or much like people, because they were unpredictable, they were scary, they were mean. And they all needed to change, not me. There was nothing I could do different because I was trying to be nice. But they were being mean. And so when we are frustrated in our communication, it causes us to point our finger outside of ourselves, that the problem is somewhere out there, because we've never been taught about this shortcut of communication, this loud voice of communication, which is the body language. Because how many body language classes have you had? How many have you been invited to? Now everybody can say one, because you're all here. Who of you have been to a body language class before? Who, this is your first time here? Welcome, welcome. So you are the smart people on the planet, all of you and the 200 people joining us online, because you realize you want to be able to manage your communication. You want to be able to send the message that you're trying to send. Because when we can do that, when you improve let's just ask it this way. If I was asking you to improve your communication, where would be the most efficient way to improve your communication? The body language. Why? Because it's a bigger piece of the pie. It's over 50%. And so if you're going to put effort in one of these areas, you'll get the most return on your investment from putting your effort in body language. And that's really exciting news. That was really exciting news to me when I first started studying body language 10 years ago, because I wanted a change. And I was tired of putting all my effort in here and getting a measly 7% return on my investment. I wanted a 57% return on my investment. So I began implementing and practicing body language. It is a powerful thing. But in the world, when you look online or this was a fascinating one. One time I typed in the Google search bar, how to become a body language expert. And it came up with a page that said, we will certify you as a body language expert. It will take 20 minutes and cost $4. And I was like, okay, I've put a lot more years into that. I'll bet you that this is not a very good certification. So I was like, I'm game, I'll do it. So I paid the $4, I took the test, I got it all wrong. And I'm like, what in the world are they teaching people? It was this simple little page that went through only about 20 different things. And they left very important pieces out. Because one of the things that happens in the world is they're trying to tell you in body language what you're doing is watching to see if somebody's lying to you. Okay, that's this big of a piece of communication. And here's the problem with that piece, is that if somebody believes something, it will come out as truth in their body language. And so you're not seeing whether or not they're telling the truth, you're seeing whether or not they believe what they're telling you, which is not the same thing. So you have to be very careful. If that's your only goal in body language, then you can learn that, but it will not be a very guaranteed indicator. And so if you start calling people liars based on what you see in their body language, you're going to be wrong more than half of the time. And so I thought I wanted to find something else I could use the superpower of body language for. And I realized that this held the secret, that if I could see the messages I was sending, then I could get a different result because I would send out a different message. When you have a conversation with somebody, it's like a game of catch. I say something and it throws the ball to you, and then you say something and it throws the ball back to me. You see how that works? Communication is like a back and forth. Or I've heard it likened to a ping pong match. So you hit the ball, then they hit the ball. Then you hit the ball, then they hit the ball. And then you miss the ball and the conversation goes south. But in communication, body language, it's like you're hitting the ping pong ball and then you're secretly taking another ping pong ball and throwing it over the net because your body language is sending a different message. And I'm like, I want to know what I'm saying. Because if I can improve what I'm saying, I will improve the quality of what I get back. So today, as we're doing this class, in your handout here, you'll notice that there is a second handout on the inside. Let's see if I can do this. And they come apart like this. See that? And they make this sound. They go, ooh. So you can take them apart like this. This inside one that's called the Online Academy, we are an education company, and this is a list of many of our online courses or audio recordings that are available. That's for your reference. You can put that one down. But this one right here, I want you to open it to the inside and even fold it backwards like this, because this is the meaty stuff that we want to talk about today. And I'm going to work backwards here, because where this stick figure here, this is where I'm going to teach you exactly. I put together some pieces as I was learning body language, because my background is in science. I have a degree in mechanical engineering. And so I think through things very logically. And so as I was learning body language, I wanted to put it together with what's going on inside of your head. I wanted to understand the science of it. Because I wanted to know why, if I was trying to send a message, would my body language send a different message than my words? Because I was choosing my words very carefully. I was choosing nice words, and yet the message was not coming across that way. I wanted to know why. So I'm going to teach you what was going on there, or what is going on, but what I figured out. And then part 3 here and part 2 here, these are fill in the blanks. And those of you who have been here before, you know I'm a really nice teacher. I give you all the answers. And if you miss one, I encourage you to cheat off your neighbor. See, you don't get that offer in school very often, so you're glad you came to this class. And then this part 1, this is where I have listed for you the different messages that come from different areas of body language. Because feet don't send the same message as shoulders. Your face doesn't send the same message as your knees. There's different messages that are sent out, and so we will refer to this during the class this morning. And the biggest part that I'm going to draw your attention to right now is in the lower left corner, where it says 4 foundational moves. When you see it, say, got it. So right there, you'll see it says, what you push goes away. These are the 4 foundational moves that you'll see people do with their hands. And there's many different forms of it. So they'll push this way. Sometimes they'll push this way. Sometimes they'll push this way. Sometimes they'll even push by brushing. But pushing goes away. So I want you to just see that category. What you push goes away. And the problem is, when I say, yes, I want something, and then my body language pushes away, if those don't match, which one are they going to go with for meaning? The body language. So remember, when they don't match is when the problems come up. Because Thursday and Friday this week, I teach a class called Break Free Intensive. Are any of you coming to it? Awesome. Excellent. So at Break Free Intensive, I tell them that I am watching the body language, but what I am going to call people out for, that's kind of not very gentle way of saying it. I'm not mean, I promise. But what I will draw people's attention to is when the body language and the words don't match. Because when they match, that's fine. Where the problems arise is when they don't match. So that's why I'm showing you this part right here. What you push goes away. What's the next one? What you pull comes towards you. So pulling, bringing things towards you, this is just what it looks like. It brings it to me. So if I say, oh, I hate getting in trouble. Do you see how that's when I would pause somebody? Not on the street. That would be weird. Not in stores. But at Break Free Intensive, I'll pause people and go, okay, wait a second. What do you mean you hate getting in trouble? And why are you bringing that to you? Because that means there's a program going on up here. And we'll talk more about that here in a minute. And I want to help unravel what that program is. So now, the next one is what you hold down stays down. If you want to see hold down body language, go to elementary school the first week of school. Sit down, be quiet, don't move, quit touching your neighbor. There's a whole bunch of hold down body language going on there. The problem is that when you hold something down too long, it loses its desire to rise. So we want to be careful with hold down body language. If I stood up here and used this kind of body language through the whole class, or even for the first 5 minutes, how does that feel? Oh, come on, I'm so glad you're here. Come on, give me the answer. Kate, you can share. Does that match? No. It feels like second grade. It's like, nope, don't make any noise or you'll get in trouble. So this, we got to be careful with this. And then the last one, what you lift grows. When you lift something, it grows. It it gains confidence, it gains energy, it gains desire. So if I do this, does that feel different than this? And all I'm doing is waving my hands at you, but it feels different. So try it with me. Everybody, do your hands like this. Now, I don't want you to do anything else except for turn your hands up. What happened? How does it feel? Lighter. Why did it get lighter? It's the same motion, but when your palms are up, it feels lighter. Isn't that amazing? That is such a cool, simple experiment that we can show to our own brain. So while you're here this morning, I'm going to teach you these secrets of body language. I'm going to show you some examples so that you can go out and make changes in your life. You can choose different results because you have different communication that you can use. So I need to know who here has watched my TED Talk on YouTube? The same hands, the ones that have been here, that are coming to Break Free, have watched the TED Talk. Good job, you guys. If you haven't, it's still available. I recorded it almost 3 years ago is when they had me do it. And so I've improved in my presentation skills since then. But the information is still highly valuable. It's had, I think it's close to 1.5 million views, which I never thought 1.5 million people would watch anything that I did in my life. And so that was kind of scary when you put something out there that you have no control over editing once it's out there. That was kind of scary. But I tell a few stories in there about my journey of understanding body language and how it has improved my life, and I give a story in there about my teenage son. It's very powerful. It's only 17 minutes long. I highly recommend it. So while you're here today, I'm going to cover those pieces in the handout. I'm going to cover those pieces in the handout, and when I go on tangents, it's bonus material. Got it? Okay? So tangents are bonus material. What are they? Bonus material. So are you in? Yes. All right, awesome. So let me tell you really quick how I became a body language expert. Because I told you that my degree, there's not actually a degree you can get in body language expert. They don't have one. I should go to a university and offer to make one up for them, though. I think that would be good. But the reason I ended up there was back in high school, was when I first realized that I didn't get back the same results that I was putting out. I wasn't communicating in a way that made people, let's just say it this way, I was not winning friends and influencing people. It was not happening. I didn't get along with the teachers well. I didn't get along with the kids well. And so I came up with this great plan, leave the high school, go to the nearest college, see if they would take me instead. Because, if you don't like something, just leave it and it'll be better somewhere else, right? So I went up to the college and I said, hey, can I just come to college? High school, not loving it. And they said, sure, you can come to college. What's your major? My major? I didn't know you were going to let me come to college. Okay, let me think really quick. Why am I coming to college? Why do we go to college, girls? Boys, exactly. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm here to date the boys. Okay, what majors do you have with no girls in them? And he looks at me and he goes, why? And I'm like, well, I don't want the competition. If I'm going to come to college and I just want to be with the boys. And he goes, well then, how about, he looks in his book, and what did he pick out? Engineering. There's not a lot of girls in there, right? But he said, how about you be an engineer? And I said, no, thank you. I am not going to drive trains. So then he proceeded to tell me what engineering really was and that there were no girls. And I said, sign me up. And it's true, there weren't very many girls because the next year they called me into the dean's office and they said, Anne, we have elected you Woman of the Year for the department. I'm like, thanks, I guess. But I went through school in mechanical engineering. When I graduated, I married an engineer, an electrical engineer, and I worked in explosives and flight simulation. And it was easy because I could hide in my cubicle and not talk to anybody. I remember even sleeping on the floor of my cubicle during some projects a few times because I didn't have to be around anybody. Some of you guys are like, yeah, I so get this. I get it. And it was so nice, but then a problem happened. I had children. Anybody ever had children? So now I have 4 boys and 1 girl. But the problem came when I had to go to their school, and now I was interacting with those same people that I was trying to avoid. And they were humans. So all the humans I didn't get along with very well. And I got along with the girl humans less than the boy humans. And at elementary schools, there's a lot of girl humans. Oh, it was really hard. I remember coming home and asking my husband one day, why is everyone on this planet so mean? And I'll never forget his reply, because I remember he stopped what he was doing, and he looked at me and he goes, Ann, I don't think you want the answer to that question. I was like, fine, you're mean too. But that's what my life felt like just 10 years ago. And so I would send the kids to school in the morning, and I would hide. I wouldn't answer the door. I wouldn't answer the phone, because no matter how hard I was trying, my results were not matching that effort I was putting out. So I was frustrated. I was very frustrated. So I was watching TV one day after I'd sent the kids to school, surfing through the 7 channels we had on our television, and there was nothing on. And so I just left it on one of the channels. But it happened to be this interview of a bunch of celebrities. And they were all standing in a row, these celebrities, for their photo shoot after their interviews. And they all had, how would a entertainer stand for a photo shoot? What would they look like? Who would stand up and pose for me? Usually I just pose, but I realized maybe I should pose. Come on, you do it. Yeah. Just stand up and show us if you're a movie star, what would you stand like for a photo shoot? And then you can pick somebody else to come up with you. Yes. All right, come on, you get to come too. All right, so here's my movie stars. What's this movie star's name?
I don't know.
No, what's your name?
Mindy.
And what's your name?
Andrea.
So here's my movie stars, Mindy and Andrea. So show us how you're going to stand for your photo shoot. What's that going to look like? Oh, okay, hold it. Hold the pose. There you go, Mindy. Okay. Okay, hold that. Pause it. There you go. Okay. I don't think they're giggling in their photo shoot. Okay, there you go. That's better. Okay, do they look pretty confident? Yeah. They do. Now, hold your poses. So I looked at these entertainers, and I saw one of them in the middle, because there were 7 boys and 3 girls in this row. And I saw one of them, and I stood up, and I tried on their pose too. And I was like, wow. I hope nobody sees me standing like this, because this is so weird, right? Right? And so I quickly went and hid. Okay, so now you guys can go again. Give them a round of applause for coming up on stage. But it got me thinking, and here is what it sparked in me. It was this. Are they standing like that because they're successful? Or are they successful because they're standing like that? And that thought would not leave my head. It would not. I'm like, I don't know which is which. So I got online and I started researching body language. And I found out that there was a class called the Body Language Show. Have you heard of it? Remember, I told you if you forgot the name of the class, it's on the front of your handout. And I quickly signed my husband up for it. I wasn't going to go. There would be people there. So I sent him, and he was supposed to bring the information back to me. But here was the problem. How good are husbands about just bringing information back? No. So instead, he comes back and he says, Anne, I signed you up for a 3-day class called Master Your Influence. And I'm like, I didn't want to go to the 2-hour body language show. Why are you making me go to a 3-day class? He's like, Anne, you need to learn about communication and body language. So who here has been or is going to Master Your Influence? Good answer. So here it was, and I'm headed to Master Your Influence. Master Your Influence class, we now have between 600 and 800 people at every class. When I went, there were not quite 80 people in the class. So I remember walking into the back of the room, and 80 was more than I could deal with. I was like, oh, look at all these people. I hope they don't watch my body language as I walk in the room. And I sat in the very back, and I closed off as much as I could and tried to not make eye contact with anybody. And I thought really loud, go ahead, try and teach me something. Because it's not me that needs to change, it's everybody else in this room. So that's how I started in body language, was by sending my husband and then him making me go to a class that I did not want to be at. But the thing is as I sat in that class, one comment stayed in my head, and it was this. When you send a conflicting message between your words and your body language, people will discount what you say to believe what they see. They'll discount what you say to believe what they see. Just this same thing right here. They are not going to believe your words as much as your body language. So I decided to go home and try adjusting my body language. Just try it. Because I figured, you know what, I know how the scientific method works. I go home and I put this to the test. And there was the problem. Because I went home and I adjusted my body language and immediately got a different result. Dang it. Because then my stubborn kicked in. Anybody here stubborn? Okay, all those who wouldn't raise their hand, they're the really stubborn people in the room. So here I am, and I had just gotten a new result after adjusting my body language. So I got mad, because I'm like, why was I never taught this if it matters this much? So that was the moment I decided to begin changing my career and going from cool things like blowing things up in flight simulation to body language expert. Doesn't that seem like a career path? Explosives, body language expert. Oh, wait. Flight simulation, body language expert. Doesn't that sound like a career path? Well, it's not exactly what they gave me at high school and said, hey, you should go pursue this. In fact, they told me I should be a dentist. And the interesting thing that very few people know is that when I began studying body language, I actually had applied to the brand new dental school that's here in Salt Lake and was going to be part of their first graduating class. But I had to choose which one to do. And I decided this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to influence people and show them the shortcuts that have changed every result in my life. It's changed my relationships, it's changed my income, it's changed my ability to go into a store, you guys. It's changed every single area of my life because communication is what our world revolves on. We do not accomplish anything on this planet, or very few things, without communication. We live on a planet with a lot of people. And because of modern conveniences, we communicate on everything. So if you can improve your communication, you can improve your results. And if the biggest piece of communication is your body language, that means that when you improve your body language, what goes up? Your results. So improve your body language, improve your what? Improve your body language, improve your... Okay, really loud. Improve body language, improve... Results. Exactly. And I wanted people to have better results in their life. And so that's why I am now teaching this class which is my 5,033rd class that I've taught. I've given that many presentations over the last 10 years. So do you think I've learned anything about body language along the way? Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So the first thing that I'm going to share with you that I learned is that in order to create an environment where people feel safe to come up to the front, right, Mindy? We need to have rules for our class. So we're going to have 3 quick rules for our class. How many rules? 3. And every 3 key elements class has these same rules. What's rule number 1? Anybody remember? Safeties. This whole thing will provide safety. Does anybody remember what rule number 1 is? Present is number 2. Number 1 was? Respect. Yes, and I can only sing how to spell it. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Respect. We were going to have high levels of respect. So tell the person next to you, I will respect you until 12 o'clock. After that, you're out of my jurisdiction, but until 12 o'clock, high levels of respect. Excellent. And then rule number 2, I heard it over here. Be present. That means be willing to play, be willing to participate. When I ask if there's volunteers, use this body language. Me, pick me. And don't worry, after you use this body language, if you don't want to be chosen, you can pull your arm back down. But the reason I recommend that is because you have a program from 2nd grade that says, oh no, don't go up in front of people. That could not end well. Or don't ask a question. And so we're just going to push a little bit on your comfort zone while you're here. Don't worry, we will not leave the safety zone at all. But we'll push on that comfort zone because, let me draw it this way for you. If this is you and this is your comfort zone right here, your safety zone is actually way out here. But we perceive that the comfort zone is the safety zone. They are not the same thing. Where does growth happen? The growth happens just outside your comfort zone. So this space right here, that right there, that is your growth zone. So in order to grow, we've got to get just outside that comfort zone. But your brain, it fights that. It fights because it's easier to stay in the comfort zone. Let me demonstrate. Everybody, raise your hand for me. Raise it as high as you can. Okay, you got it as high as you can? Okay, you don't have to stand up, but have you raised your hand as high as you can? Okay, now raise it a little higher. You said that was as high as you could. Your brain is ripping you off. It wants you to think you can't do a little bit more. It wants you to think that it's not possible to step out of that comfort zone. But the reality is, it actually is really fun just outside your comfort zone. Because notice what happened. I had you raise your hand as high as you could, and when you raised it a little higher, what did you hear in the room? Laughter. We think it's going to be excruciating pain when we get out of our comfort zone, but what actually happens the majority of the time is giggles. I call them growth giggles, because it really is not painful. It's our subconscious wanting to get a chicken exit, wanting to take it easy. So let me just label this for you really quick. So out here, this is the safety zone. We're not leaving that. We will not leave that. This is the comfort zone. And that right here is the growth zone. So today, we want to hang out as much as possible in that growth zone. So it means be willing to be present, be willing to participate, be willing to play just a little bit. Because studies show if you play a little, you actually retain. You actually retain more information. So we want to play a little bit. And besides that, it's no fun to be boring. So let's not be boring. Tell the person next to you, don't be boring. And then rule number 3, what's rule number 3? Manage your communication devices. Make sure your cell phone's on silent. Make sure that you manage this communication device right here if you're here with somebody you know. Not too much of, hey, that's you. Hey, you need to do that. Careful with the communication device. So it's 3 rules. Rule number 1 is high levels of be and everybody who will follow these rules, please raise your hand. And wait, let me make sure I have agreement. Excellent. All right, big round of applause for an agreement. All right, so let's quickly jump to our fill in the blanks because I want to do some new stuff today. So I want to quickly get through the basics so that we can move into deeper stuff. But don't worry, I'll watch, and if deeper stuff is feeling like drowning, we can back off to simpler, no problem. But I'm in the mode of break-free intensive right now. That's all I'm dreaming about right now. And trust me, break-free intensive, we don't do simple there. We just go all the way. Who's been to break-free intensive before? Okay, so do we live through it, you guys? But is it deeper stuff? Absolutely. Okay. So I'm going to read the fill in the blank here. I'm going to give you 2 of the blanks at a time. And when you've got them written down, say, got it, and I know it's time to go on. Got it? Got it. Reading body language is a skill to find answers and solutions. To begin reading body language, I must remove judgment and see movements as indicators. Indicators. But don't ask me how to spell it because you can graduate from college and not know how to spell. That's why they invented spell check. An engineer like me. Nope, it doesn't, but it works more often than I do. All right, when I see movement, the next step is to ask good questions. Ask what kind of questions? Good questions. So then on part 3, let's go to part 3 for just a second. I'm at the top of the sentences there. I'm going to ask you to circle a few words. The ability to understand and use nonverbal communication is a powerful tool that will help you to connect, circle that one, connect with others, express, circle that one, what you really mean, navigate, circle that one, challenging situations, and build, circle that one, better relationships. Build better relationships. While you are speaking, the brain prepares and organizes. Anybody know the answer? 57. You're correct.
I'm sorry, I'm going off of that.
You are correct, but that's a percent. That's a percent. How many words do you think the subconscious picks? 650, yeah. Every minute, your subconscious picks 650 words for you to speak. But how many of you can speak 650 words a minute? That would be a lot of words. I like to do CrossFit, and Spartan races kind of go with CrossFit. And I remember when I went to my first Spartan race, they had an announcer there. So they gathered you all into this mosh pit, basically. And you had to climb over a 6-foot obstacle to get into this pit. And then you've been in a Spartan race, but you get it. And so you cross into there, and then they're going to let you all go at the same time. But first, they had this announcer get up and do the disclaimers of the race. And he got up there and he started going, and I looked at somebody and I went, what did he say? And they went, go! And they opened the gate. And I was like, well, that's a way to do the disclaimers without us having any clue what they are. And I should have known better because two of my sons and my husband and I decided to get a trifecta last year, which means you do 3 Spartan races. They have 3 sizes. They have a short, a medium, and a long. They call them a sprint, a super, and a beast. And beast is a good name for it. But because of our schedule, I let somebody talk us into doing the World Championship Beast race at Tahoe in California. And it was at the ski resort there. And so a beast race is supposed to be 13 miles long and about 33 obstacles. Well, this one instead happened to be 18 miles long and 47 obstacles, 2 of them being swims across the lake. And they said, bring a headlamp, because the last 5 miles were in the dark. Oh my heavens. Why am I even telling you this? I'm trying to remember now. Oh yeah, because of the disclaimer guy. Okay. And so here he is. He goes, ready, go. And I'm like, had I understood what he said, maybe I would not have gone on this race. Because it was crazy hard. Oh my gosh, it was so hard. And we even had to wait. They closed one obstacle for a while because there was a bear in it. It was just like, we were like, is that one of the obstacles, the bear? It was so crazy. But he could only speak 300 words a minute, is all he could speak. And I couldn't understand a word he was saying. So we actually, on average, only speak 150 words. So how many are held back? 500 words get held back. And those hidden words show up where? In our body language. So let me ask you this. Why would your brain prepare 650 words to speak, knowing that you cannot speak them? Why would it do that? You ever thought about it? No, we just speak. I have no idea why. I know, this is how my brain works. It's like, well, I want to know why. I really want to know why. There goes the blue one. And so I really researched and studied this. And what I learned, I'm going to teach you right now. It was a very powerful aha moment for me. Because inside your head, I'm going to simplify it down to this. We have a conscious and a subconscious, true? And which one handles more information? How much more? 95%. Good, you're good with percentages. That's awesome. So I'll help you out with this. Our conscious can process approximately 40 pieces of information every single second. Every single second. How many can your subconscious process? Now, I just want you to guess. Just guess your number. Great number. Keep going. Okay, that's the same 3 people guessing. Come on, the rest of you, just guess a number. Because I'm trying to get you to guess, because when you guess, it opens a door in your head to the answer. Okay, great guesses. You don't even have to be right. That's the perfect thing. So on the count of 3, everybody just say a guess. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Mean. Oh. And so this part where my program gets revalidated is the part that we need to override. We need to override this program. Because if we don't, we never get an update to our programming. When I updated my programming and had a new one that said, not everyone is mean. There's a lot of nice people on the planet. Guess what happened to my results? What happened to my results? What do you think? Do you think they went down or they got better? It was the weirdest thing. My results got better when I no longer was validating a program that everyone is mean. Oh, it was, and then the sound was like this. Oh. You ever made that sound? Try that one with me. Oh. So now we have to figure out where is the upgrade button for our subconscious programming. Because who here would like an upgrade? Good answer. Boy, did I want an upgrade. I needed an upgrade because I realized I had a lot of messed up programming. And it made sense. I'm the oldest child of my parents, and they are both youngest children. And my dad was raised in foster care until he ran away from the system when he was 16. And he beat the odds. Because statistically, kids that age out of the foster care system don't make it very far in life, which is a scary statistic. But my dad beat the system. My mom was raised in an abusive environment. Neither one of them were given very many tools. And so I count them as my heroes that they didn't raise me the same as they had been raised. They chose to do it different. But did they have all the answers? No. And so there was a lot of practicing that happened on me. Me and my brother that's 2 years younger than me, oh man, they practiced a lot on us. And it was hard. I grew up with some messed up thinking, some messed up programs that my subconscious was doing its job to validate those programs. But I wanted an upgrade. I wanted to upgrade that programming. So I went in search of my upgrade button because I knew my computer had one, and my computer here is smarter than my computer that I carry around with me, so there must be one. There must be one somewhere. So now I need you to play with me again for a second. Everybody fold your arms. Fold your arms. Now here's the quiz. Look down and tell me which arm is on top. Okay, the correct answer is either the left or the right. Did you get it? Okay, now you got to remember your answer. Unfold your arms and fold them back with the other arm on top. So some of you are like, I don't think arms do that. How does it feel? Awkward, odd, uncomfortable, different. Hold it for just a second. I need you to feel it. Because inside your brain, this same awkward, uncomfortable feeling is going on. You feel like it's your arms, but the signal is in your brain, and it's called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. I know you want to take notes, so that's okay. You can unfold them. Cognitive dissonance states that your brain cannot hold on to two conflicting ideas at the same time without discomfort. Cognitive dissonance states that your brain cannot hold on to two conflicting ideas at the same time without discomfort. In other words, you just pushed the upgrade button. And that's what the upgrade button feels like. But notice that we avoid it. We don't ever fold our arms the other way because it's uncomfortable. But that's the fastest way for you to feel what an upgrade feels like. Hang on one second. It feels like the growth zone. It feels like this space right out here. It doesn't feel like the comfort zone. Remember, Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. This right here, that's where cognitive dissonance lies, right in there. I have no idea if I spelled it right, but it's something phonetically like that. Cognitive dissonance. Okay, what was your question? Oh, perfect. You're welcome. And thank you for cheating off your neighbor. That was good. So do you see? The upgrade button is that feeling that you feel when you push out of that comfort zone. That is the upgrade button. And the coolest thing about it is the fastest place to feel it is in your body language. Because your body language, I'm going to go back to this one. Your subconscious, here it is, I put it over here. Your subconscious is sending those messages out through your body language. And so in other words, your subconscious says, use this body language. Use this body language. Remember the foundational moves? Push this away or bring it to you. So for me, I was using push away signals to people when I interacted with them. Repel signals. I was pushing them away. And when I used those, they felt comfortable. And so as long as I kept using it, it reinforced that program back up here in my subconscious. It reinforced it. Brain says, use this body language. And I said, okay. And I pushed them away. And so the signal came back to the subconscious and said, yep, hold on to that program. It's comfortable and it doesn't kill us. So where does our upgrade lie? Where does the upgrade lie? In our body language. If I change my body language, if my subconscious says, use this body language, and I say, not today, sorry, I'm going to use different body language today. Not today. Then it sends a message of cognitive dissonance up to my brain. And now my brain is going, wait, it doesn't match. I interrupted the body language. I sent a new message, and the brain goes, but which one do you want? There's 2 programs here now. And I say, I know it feels like growth, but this is what I want. So when I hold to the new body language, I validate a new program. I validate a new program. Okay, is this making sense to you guys, or am I just went college level and we're good? So, yes, go ahead.
I'm just wondering where the conscious mind is. Wouldn't you have to make a conscious thought to change body language?
Yes.
Okay.
So let me, since you brought that up, let me just add another piece to this already messy diagram. What's your name? Debbie. Where does choice happen? In the conscious or the subconscious?
Well, I would have to say we make a conscious choice to do things, but I think we subconsciously choose to honor programming. But
We don't subconsciously choose. The program runs and is defended, but choice happens in the conscious. This is where choice is, which is a powerful concept when you think about it, because we don't want our subconscious to actually be making our choices. We want our subconscious to run the programs, because are there good programs? Yeah, like how to drive a car. Aren't we glad how would I know this one? My son got his permit last week. Oh. And he's like, Mom, how do you drive like this? And I'm like, because I've done this move like 10,000 times. And he's like, he gets in the car, and you know how people who have played video games do a car, right? I need to turn left. And I'm like, no, you need to go like this. And he's like, that's it? That's so underwhelming. I think we should just hook Xbox controllers up to cars, and then the kids would drive perfectly. Yeah, as long as they put their phones down. Yeah. There you go. That's true. So we have choices that are happening here. The choices, okay, I can't go off on that tangent right now. So the conscious mind makes the choices. So you're absolutely right. What was your name again? Debbie. That we make a conscious choice to override the program that's coming from the subconscious. I have to consciously choose it. And if I quit consciously choosing it, if I haven't upgraded to the new program, I will go back to the old body language. So I have to consciously choose it enough times to upgrade the program, and then the new program will be the default behavior. Isn't that cool news, you guys? That you can upgrade your program, and then the new program will be defended by your subconscious. Because your subconscious just wants what you want. I mean, it wants safety and comfort for you. So when the new program becomes comfortable, the subconscious says, default behavior. My new default behavior is so much better than my old default behavior. It was so much better. So let me answer yours, and then I'll give you an example. Okay? Thank you, Debbie.
How does habit and addiction apply with the choice and the conscious and subconscious?
So remember the comfort zone part. Remember how much we want to feel safe and comfortable. We want to feel so safe and comfortable that when my subconscious says, do this body language, it feels really good to do that body language. And so choice to override it is going to feel uncomfortable. That's why I had you fold your arms the way you did, because I wanted you to feel that the upgrade is not comfortable. It's not unsafe, but it is not comfortable. Now, the problem with addictions is it's triggered a part in our brain that is so loud for the comfortable part that it's really hard to make that choice to overcome it. It's not impossible. It just makes it much harder because it's so much louder at that point. Does that make sense? And so that's why we have addiction recovery centers, because they help you make your choice stronger. Like they can put you in a room where you can't access the whatever it is, the drug or the alcohol, or if you can't access it, that makes your choice a little bit easier. You may not like it. Like if you, okay, I'll go on this tangent. If you ever have a craving for a certain food, but you throw it all into the garbage can because you don't want to eat it. Have you ever been tempted to go to the garbage can and dig it out of the garbage can? I knew it. I knew I wasn't the only one. Because that cravings are like a lower version of an addiction. A craving isn't an addiction, but it's stronger than just a program. So programs, cravings, addictions, they're louder and louder as they go up. But choice can still override, but sometimes we need help with the choice by getting it completely out of the house. Because I have had times where I've craved something, so I threw the box in the garbage can, and then it's like, take the box out of the garbage can, and then I'm like, okay, no. So I open the box, dump it all into the garbage can, because then that's less enticing to go dig through the garbage. But the choice will have to match the strength of the subconscious programming. Does that make sense? And what's your name? What? Shane? So big round of applause for Debbie and Shane. Thanks, you guys. So here's what happened to me. I had this program, and I'll just tell you really quick how I got it. My mom, bless her heart, she's wonderful. She's one of my guardian angels now. I just lost her last year to ovarian cancer. But when I was little, when I would come home from school, she wouldn't ask me, how was your day? She always asked, are you okay? And I didn't know that there was other questions that people asked their kids when they came home. That was just always what she asked me. But the problem, do you see the problem with this question? It taught me that something happened during the day that I may not be okay from. Because every day it was, are you okay? When I would come in. Not, how was your day? Are you okay? So that put a program in me that people were, for me, how I translated that was people are mean. So now I scooped up that program, carried it to adulthood with me, and now I was behaving in a way that people are mean. And the way that looked on me was, let's have some volunteers for this. So I need a hang on just a second. We'll do it in order. I'm going to need a boy volunteer and a girl volunteer. In fact, let's do 2 boys and 2 girl volunteers. But wait just a second. Wait just a second. Remember my instructions. I'm going to ask if there's any volunteers, and you have to respond with the appropriate body language, and then you can put your arm down if you don't want to come up. But I want to push out of your comfort zone. So do you remember? Do you remember the body language? Okay, so here we go. Do I have any volunteers? Where was the Mimi pick me? There you go. There you go. Good job, you guys. All right, let's try it one more time. Do I have any volunteers? Now, isn't that way funner? That's way funner. Okay, so now those of you who would actually like to volunteer, please raise your hands. Awesome. Okay, so let's go right here, and let's go. I already picked her, so let's go you right here. Or we could do rock, paper, scissors. And then I also need 2 guys. So who guys would like to come up? You like to come up? And then who else? Oh, the guys are not as brave. Okay, you come on up. Okay, so I have, what's your name? Nicole and? D and? Dan and? Phil. Nicole and D and Dan and Phil. Awesome. Okay, so the guys are on this side, the girls are on this side. So come up to the front a little bit. There you go. There you go. So we're going to test these guys on what they know about body language. Okay, we're going to test them. Have you ever heard the terms in English, things like that is so belittling, or tearing yourself down, or talking down to yourself? Or talking down to someone? Have you ever heard those terms? Well, they're teaching us about body language. They're teaching us something. So I'm going to give you a question here. It's a little quiz, and it goes like this. When somebody feels weak up here, their program is one that makes them feel like they're weak or less than people around them. What would you see in their body language? What would you see? Slumped shoulders. Okay, so everybody, slumped shoulders. Whatever that looks like for you, okay? Head down. Yep, don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. No smiling, Dan. Nicole. And of course, they're going to over-exaggerate a little for us. But what else? Yeah, they'll fidget. They'll move. So they're saying that you might scrunch your forehead or your... I don't know if you have to do it with your fingers. Okay, what else? Yeah, they'll close their arms some way in front of them. We call this a gate. However you close your arms in front of you, it's putting a barrier between you and the people around you. And then there's one more really main one. What is it? What else would you see in them? Yeah, they won't put their weight, they will shift their weight to one leg because they don't feel...
That's what I did.
You did it automatically.
It naturally came. I've got to hide a little bit more.
Yeah.
By leaning back.
Yeah. So she said, for those online, she said, I have to hide a little more by leaning back. Excellent. Okay, so hold those poses for me for just a second. So now, here we have a cross-section of what people look like when they feel weak. When they feel weak. When we feel weak, we feel littler, belittled, tear down, talk down to. We feel shrunk, smaller than. all of those comments, those programs in our head come out in our body language because it causes us to send a message. Now, here's an interesting thing. There was a study that was done at Harvard Business School. Hold your poses. And they found that it only takes 2 minutes of a body language pose or any piece of the body language to cause the program in your brain to be validated and to release the chemicals in your brain of that feeling. So let me explain. When somebody feels weak, there's a hormone in your body called cortisol. That's the weak hormone. It's the anxiety hormone, the stress hormone. Your body will begin after 2 minutes of holding a weak pose. And it doesn't have to be standing still. You can just have your shoulders slumped and you're walking around. And after 2 minutes, because you've heard of the afternoon slump, your brain will start excreting or producing stress hormone because of that piece of body language.
Stop making me do that.
So you don't want it.
I don't want it.
Okay, but yet, Dee, when you walked up there, what was the first thing you did? You went back behind Nicole. You were already hiding on the stage. And hiding is part of the body language that causes us to feel that. So for Dee's benefit, what would you do different now that you know that?
Straighter and open myself up. I think I don't know, maybe you can explain this, but
Okay, I need a microphone. I can't repeat all those words for the ones online. Red microphone, please, because they can't hear you online.
so
We'll find out. I don't know how to turn them on, Reed. It looks like it's on. It says red. There you go.
Okay, so when I first came up and you looked at Nicole, I stepped back because I wanted you to be able to see her.
But you were already back before you stepped back. You
Was
stepped
I?
back any further.
Was I? Okay. Interesting.
See, I needed you down here to be my validation.
That's awesome. No. That was my question.
But
is
here's
that-
the fascinating thing. You didn't know that.
No, I didn't.
You didn't see that in yourself because what's comfortable feels like the right thing to us. And so, you guys are doing so good over there.
Good.
And so we have to choose. So that's what I'm doing by explaining this and having you guys up here to demonstrate it, is I'm giving you choice because you're now aware of it. Okay, so now she's like, I don't want this. Why are you making me stand like this? But here's the fascinating thing, okay, just because we already went deep. When I asked her, how do you want to stand? What did you say?
I said I would stand up straighter and open myself up.
Okay, but that's not what she did. What did she do? She put her hands behind her back.
Yeah, I know what to do. What does that mean?
All excellent questions. All excellent questions. So how many kids in the family you grew up with?
Just 2 of us.
And which one are you?
Youngest.
The youngest. And what was home like? Were you in trouble a lot? Were you a perfectionist and did everything mom and dad said?
I tried.
And so then if you didn't, it felt like disappointment. You disappointed them.
I would say, I would change it a little. I think that I wasn't accepted probably. I always felt I had to defend myself to my whole family. But I tried to be good, but I never felt
Older brother or sister?
older brother.
So you always felt like you had to defend yourself.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that's what just came out in your body language, was a fear of doing it right.
Yeah.
I have to do it right or it won't be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what that message was that you just sent. It's like, this is what I want, but am I doing it right? I need approval to know I'm doing it right.
Yes, that sounds exactly true.
Okay, so we need to unravel these guys because Dan over there and Phil. Dan and Phil are like, I cannot fidget over here any longer. So if we upgraded the program like Dee wants, if somebody feels strong inside of their head, what would you see in their body language? Okay, so head up, shoulders up. Oh, that feels better, right? Dan's like, yes, thank you. Yeah, weight on both legs, just the opposite of all those things. Chin up, make eye contact, and now you can smile, because Nicole has a great smile. Yeah, so all of those things look much more confident. And it only takes 2 minutes for your body to slow down the cortisol, anxiety output, and increase the confidence hormones. And the confidence hormones, the biggest one is testosterone, which both women and men have. If women don't have enough testosterone, it wreaks havoc with their body. I had no idea. I didn't know that. And we need more of that confidence hormone. So when you asked, what do you do with your hands? Neutral position for hands is actually down to your sides. Just down to your sides. Which feels what?
Different.
Different.
Yeah, a little different.
I would say it feels stupid. Because the first time I had to put it down to my sides, I'm like, this is dumb. I have these flappy things down at the bottom of my arms, and it looks dumb. Yeah. That's what I thought.
Yeah, you feel like an ape.
Yeah, exactly. See, now you're being truthful. You guys are all up here being politically correct. It feels different.
Even when you cross your hands like this.
So any way you cross your hands in front of you, it's still a gate. It's still a gate. So it's just it just lowers the confidence just a little.
What about that?
Ooh, what do you think?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Come on. Guess.
They're saying power.
Shh. Come on, Nicole. How does it feel?
Somewhere to put my hands. I don't know. Yeah, maybe powerful.
Do you have kids?
Yeah, I have 3.
Do you ever stand like this?
No, I try not to.
Okay, when is it, so listen to your words, I try not to. So when is it that you would like to stand like
Probably
that?
when they're being naughty.
Yes. And so listen to what you're doing. You're making yourself bigger. It's called a cobra pose because you're expanding your look to them. Just like we had belittle and tear ourselves down, we want to enlarge our stance to feel
I
stronger.
always think of people taking pictures. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, picture body language is a totally different class because picture body language and body language when you're interacting with somebody, they're not the same of what looks good in a picture. I know, because whenever we have corporate pictures, it's like, all right, everybody, remember, body language is not the same right now. Do this and this and this for the pictures. It's like, okay, fine. And so it's just different. And then there's other pieces
Trying
too.
to know what to do with my hands.
Right
I know,
there.
but it just feels awkward.
Okay, see? now you're feeling it because that growth zone, it takes 2 minutes at least for it to become comfortable. Now for me, when I first realized I was feeling weak around people, so I looked for all the weak parts that I was doing in my body language. And for me, I would fold my arms in defensiveness before I even walked into a room. And my weight would never be on both legs because I didn't feel strong. And so I wanted to change that. I wanted to open my body language. And you think about it, if you go watch a movie, they will have if they're not doing anything in the scene, their hands will be down to their side. We don't think it looks awkward. We think it feels awkward. It doesn't ever trigger us as looking awkward. I mean, if Nicole stands up here with her hands right here, does that look awkward? No. It feels a little awkward to her, so some minute adjustments keep happening. She like stiffens because I see her want to move her hands, and it's like, lock them in place. And then it's like, oh, no. And so that little nuance can look a little awkward, but just when they're comfortable down to the sides, it does not trigger our brain to say, that looks stupid. But man, it can feel that way. And so the guys over there, same thing. They can have their hands down to their sides. You'll notice in people who have been in the military, they want to put their hands behind their back, but it's different. It's not down here like this. It's up here a little bit because they're taught to have their hands behind them. But it looks a little different. But for the majority of us, when the hands go behind us, it's in a fear of trouble kind of a place. More than, but you can see the difference. If somebody feels defensive, it's low like this. If they feel confident, it'll be more up like this. So there's nuances in all of it. Nuances. All right, let's give them a big round of applause for coming up here. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Dee. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Dan. Awesome. Can you put that in that stand for me right there? She's like, don't hand the microphone to me. So I talk about this on my TED Talk, and then I'll answer a couple of questions. Because I noticed for me, my defensiveness was coming in the form of feeling weak. Now, for clarification, folding arms does not always mean closed. Especially if you're having a conversation and somebody folds their arms, then they're often contemplating or figuring something out. Because if it only meant closed, do you think we would teach people to pray by folding their arms? No, it's not. It's a contemplation move. It's a thinking. It's other things as well. But for me, I noticed that before I even walked into a room, I shrank. And so I'm like, okay, I want to change and not shrink. I want to put my hands down to my sides. Because I went through the whole thing of watching a movie and seeing they had their hands down to their sides and going, are you kidding me? I do not want to have to stand like that. Don't you understand girls' clothes don't have real pockets and you can't put your hands anywhere? They're just floppy, so I've got to fold my arms. That was my excuse. Your subconscious will make all kinds of excuses to keep you in the comfort zone. That's where it's comfortable. So it wants to keep you in the comfort zone. So I noticed that I was going into a weak pose. So one day I drove up to my son's school and I got out of the car and I shrank. I shrank. And I was like, no, I don't want to shrink. I was just standing next to the car. There wasn't anybody else out there, but yet I had already shrunk. And so I had a talk with my arms, and I said, okay, today we're going to be down to the side. It's only kindergarten. We can do this. Because I was only going into the kindergarten classroom. I was even afraid of the kindergartner kids. It's like, really? I'm going to be strong today. So I locked my car, and I started walking across the parking lot, and already my arms were folded again. And I got to the front door, and I was weak, and I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? Okay, unfold your arms. Unfold your arms. So I opened the front door, and you know how there's a breezeway, and then there's another door? I opened the front door, and already one arm was folded, going to open the second door. And I'm like, no, arms. We talked about this. Down to the side. I'm like, I can do this. So I opened the other door. So now I walk in, and I have to walk down this long hall and turn right at the end of the hall to go to my son's kindergarten classroom. So I'm going down the hall, and my arms are like, and then they're folded. I'm like, no, unfold. 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 And I get to the hall, and a lady is coming around at the hall at the same time, and she looks at me, and she goes, are you okay? And then I continue down the hall, and I'm like, yes, just upgrading. And it was so bad, you guys. I found, this was over about a week's time that it took me, because this was a strong program in me. Because remember, every day my mom had asked me, are you okay? Every day. So I had a deep groove in there that people are mean. So every day for the entire week, I was holding my arms down to my sides. And it was so bad, you guys. I did not have enough blood vessels in my fingers to pull the fluid out of my fingers because I had never let them be down to my sides. So my fingers swole up huge during that week until my body got the message, we better build some more blood vessels because she's just not going to change this. And now I feel weird if I folded my arms for too long. Now the other program is defended because I have upgraded the body language. It's the coolest thing. Your subconscious is working for you. But the problem is it can be working for you in outdated programming. So if we update the programming, now our subconscious can help us in a better way. Isn't that cool? It's like exciting to me. You guys don't have to like it, but I love it. I love it. Okay, there were a few hands, so let's take a few questions here. Could you please grab that microphone and pass it behind you there, and then say your name so that they hear online that the voice has a name.
Hi, my name is Emily.
Hi, Emily.
And hi. My question is, with the stance, how she was feeling weird, just standing there, and she wanted to fold her arms or
Which
whatnot.
one? Nicole or Dee?
Nicole.
Over here.
Where is she? Yes. Hi. What if she did have pockets and putting her thumbs in or her hands in? What does that say?
So have you been to Master Your Influence?
I have, but it was a while ago.
Okay, so we now talk about that exact thing, that putting fingers in pockets or a thumb in a pocket is a different level of confidence. But the most open one, and if you're trying to upgrade a program, I highly suggest the no pockets piece because it causes the most cognitive dissonance.
Okay.
Because if you're used to closing your hands, pockets can feel like comfort zones still.
Okay.
But but I'll just give you this little piece about pockets. The more, here we go, now I have pockets. They're kind of little, short, girly pockets, but they're pockets. That if the whole hand is stuffed in, that is a lower confidence than if the thumb is just in. And so the reason I suggest down to the side is because this can just reinforce the old program.
Okay.
Even though it helps a little because you've at least exposed your tummy button. And tummy button is what we always hide because that's kind of the seat of who we are, if you think about it. Yeah. It's where we got our first life from, was our umbilical cord.
Yes.
And so when we open our belly button, and I don't mean we're midriffs,
right.
I just mean then it can feel like more confidence, but I highly recommend this one.
Okay.
For upgrading programs.
Okay. And then like just hanging there, if it feels a little weak right here, that's just
Well, take it from my fingers. Your
Right.
body will adapt.
okay.
And so if it feels a little weak here, it's just because you don't have that muscle tone. For the majority of us, unless you have an actual physical problem,
Right.
it's just that you don't have that muscle tone yet, and
Okay.
you will get it.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you
great
so much.
question. Round of applause for Emily. Okay, and then there were some more hands. Okay, pass it right here.
So is there,
This is D.
this is D, yes, again. So is there a different body language between genders?
Sure,
yeah,
of course there's going to be
some gender differences.
Some differences. But the majority of it is going to be the same kind of body language, but with a male or a female twist on it. Now, I was just having this conversation. Let me think. I've spoken a lot of places in the last few days. Let me think which one it was. Because I spoke at Idaho State University on Friday and Kansas State University on Saturday. And then I flew on Sunday, and then I did personal mentoring. Is today Tuesday? Yes. Okay. Phew. I think it was in a personal mentoring appointment with a corporate executive. And we were talking about because one of the people in this conversation is a trained dancer. And she's like, well, dancers are trained to stand a certain way, and it's never with our weight on both legs because that wouldn't look right. And I said, okay, but and then we started into the male-female thing. And I said, now, you're a trained dancer. Do you know any trained male dancers? She goes, oh, yeah. I said, watch them. They don't stand the same as the trained female dancers. There's going to be differences. And so why do you ask that? Because we could talk about that for like 2 hours now, but so I can narrow it down.
Just because when we were talking about the pockets, you know, I've seen men that look super confident who put their hands in their pockets, or I haven't seen a girl do that and me think that she's confident, but I've seen some, it seems like males can do it and look cool or confident. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just
that's
kind
why they don't put pockets in girls' clothes.
maybe, but it just sparked that question. Like, well, I wonder if it's the same for both. And
So the difference, no, it's not the same, and yes, it's a long answer, but let me give you this much of it, is that when we are, so like I was telling Emily, the different ways of putting hands in pockets show different levels of confidence. So see how this looks way less confident than this does, or this. And when we don't have our hands in our pockets at all, it's another even different level. But I would go back to watching people who are trained to be looked at for a living. So people like dancers or entertainers or people in movies. And when they're not doing something, what do? And even in the movies, most of the time the guys aren't shoving their hands in their pockets. And you're right, they can look confident that way, but they can also look confident by not putting their hands in their pockets.
well, yeah, like when you had Andrea come up and she was doing the movie pose, you know, with the movie stars and everything. I was thinking of seeing males putting their hand in their pocket with one hand and having their arm around their lady. I'm just trying to make sense of it all. You know, it's probably too much to get into, but
So for this class, that's beyond the scope of this class, but your eyes have been opened.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose here, is to realize I can do something different. And here's why I don't. That's the real thing I want you to get, is that I can change, and here's why I don't. Because for me, I realized my kids would come home from school, and I would say, oh, tell me about your day. Does that match? Why would I do that?
because you're programming.
Because in my head, I was so full, I didn't have room to hear more things. So even though I like my kids and I wanted them to talk to me, my subconscious says, no room, please don't talk to mom. And then I'm complaining to my husband, why won't my kids talk to me? So when I notice, when my eyes are open to body language, the ones I want you to pay attention to when you leave this class are those 4 foundational moves: the push, the pull, the hold down, and the lift. Because if you leave this class and try to pay attention to everything, what's going to happen?
Yeah, that's true.
You'll ignore all of it because it'll be too far out of your comfort zone. It'll feel unsafe, and you'll say, forget it. So if I give you specific things to pay attention to, you can start to upgrade. So the ones, the push, the pull, the hold down, the lift, and then the afternoon slump. I love that. Afternoon slump, and everybody went, not me. We catch ourselves slumping down. Pull your shoulders back up. Pull your chin just above level. Because the thing is, as soon as people are actually looking at you, you shrink a little bit. And so I tell people, put your chin above level, because by the time somebody looks at you, you'll pull it down a little bit. And if you start it above level, you'll go to level. But if you start at level, you'll go below level. So pull your chin just above level so that you can be at level. It sends great confidence messages to your own subconscious. Great confidence. So pull those shoulders up and then pay attention to the hands. The push, the pull, Yeah, that's right. Push, pull, hold down, lift. I'm like, my brain got ahead of itself there. Does that make sense? All right, excellent. Okay, she wants it right next to you there.
How much life's work do you feel that you have changed and done and
How much life
through
work?
body language, like upgrading?
All of my results have changed because of upgrading body language. Every one of them.
So over your course of mentoring and working with, thank you, mentors and you've put a huge focus on body language and have upgraded.
Absolutely. And here's why my focus is on body language, because I could have made my focus other places. But the reason it's been on body language is because it upgrades the programming. It's the programming that needs upgrading. But have you just heard people all the time that say, don't worry, just be happy, or change how you're thinking, quit talking mean about yourself. And people are like, yeah, that would be good, and then they don't do it because they don't know what to do different. And part of the reason why is because if you're like this and you're going, yeah, I'm confident, I'm charismatic, it doesn't match to you, it doesn't match to me. That's why it's such a huge superpower, is because when you change the language and you change the body language, now they match. That's the important piece, is the words and the body language have to match for the upgrade in the program.
Do you feel like 3 key elements, so I don't know a ton about...
Is this your first class here?
I've been to Master Your Influence.
Excellent.
I was curious how much body language they incorporate into, or upgrading, into their mentoring and...
So when you mentor with me, lots.
Lots.
Because, so Break Free Intensive, 2 days, the whole time. Well, let's just put it this way. People think you can turn off your eyes once you learn body language, but you can't.
Yeah.
In fact, I hear it. Like when I hold mentoring appointments over the phone, I hear their body language.
Really?
And I tell them, oh, you just did this. And they're like, how did you know that? And I'm like, I've just done this enough. Promise I know what's going on here. And so at Break Free Intensive, I'm paying attention to body language. When does it not match the words that you speak? When you're sitting in my office having a personal mentoring appointment, I'm all eyes on you, watching, not in a creepy way, but definitely can be an intimidating way, because I'm watching, and when things don't match, I will bring it up. And then I do group mentoring right here in this room, twice a month on Mondays. And we're here for 2 hours. And I have a small group of people that I'm showing them, this is what's between you and your goal that you're trying to achieve. Body language can be a superpower that's used on the dark side of the force or on the light side of the force. And I had to choose early on which side of the force I was going to go on. And I chose the light side of the force because I want to help people access their amazingness. And so your question of how much do I incorporate body language? 110%, because it is such an amazing tell for what the hiccup is in your programming. Because if our programming was perfect, any result we chose, we would just immediately get to that result. We would just immediately arrive at whatever goal that we chose. But when we don't, it's because there's something between us. And body language will show you what that is.
I feel I have kind of a rubber neck when it comes to like this tool and that tool, and I love body language, and I'm
Me too.
wondering how.
That's why I never left.
Yeah, how effective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very effective. Very effective. Awesome. Okay, will you pass that? She had her hand up first, and then we'll come back to you. Okay. Round of applause for both of those questions.
Okay, so Donna Eden,
Thank you, Dottie.
in her book,
Wait. What's your name?
I'm Angela.
Hi, Angela.
Hi. In her book, Energy Medicine, she talks about your energy patterns and your meridians and stuff, but she will say that if you cross your legs or if you sometimes instinctively fold your arms, it's because you're reprogramming your energy, excuse me, and that it's kind of old school to interpret folding arms all the time as an insecurity. I'm just wondering if you're instinctively recalibrating a little bit, can you still, but you're feeling charismatic and confident, can that message still come across if you need to recalibrate for a minute? Well, for example, my husband and I just sat through a sales presentation, and I was ready to buy it. I loved it. And I was sitting there, and I think I was focusing. I was actually thinking, how am I going to convince my husband to buy this? And the man in the back said, he called me out of the blue, and he said, I'm not even going to talk to you. Your arms are folded. I don't even want to hear what you have to say. And I was shocked,
So
but I was feeling
remember the very
good.
first thing I just taught you guys was when you're looking at body language, you must remove judgment. It's the judgment, that guy going into judgment like that is the number one pet peeve of mine with body language. Because judging people based on their body language never helps anybody. And so when you're saying, well, what about recalibrating? Can sometimes it be okay? Here's the short way I'm going to say of looking at it, is that anytime you're making a conscious choice of what you're doing with your body language, then it's in your best interest because you chose it. Okay. You chose it. But when it's subconscious and you don't know, just like when Dee was up here and she's like, I was back behind. And then she's like, but I stepped back. Well, yeah, a little bit, but you were already back. She wasn't even aware of it. That's the part that's coming from our programming. And if your programming is getting you every result that you want, then there's no need for an upgrade to it. The problem is, look, we'll just take a survey. Who here has a goal that they have not achieved yet in their life they want to achieve? So that means that we have subconscious behavior that's holding us in our comfort zone.
Okay.
And so, sure, like I preface with too, folding your arms is not going to always mean closed. For me, I saw that it was an indicator of weakness because of when it happened.
Okay.
So pay attention to when you're doing it. So for me, I'm not around anybody and I'm shrinking, then it's a thought that's shrinking me. So let me say that one more time. If I'm not around anybody and I'm shrinking, then it's a thought that's shrinking me.
Okay.
But if I'm in a sales presentation and I catch myself going into a folded arms, then that's most likely a contemplation or a thinking. You can't look at one piece of body language and know the whole story any more than you can hear one word of a sentence and know the whole meaning.
Okay.
Because one word will mean a different thing depending on what sentence you put it in. And so that's why I counsel you guys, take judgment out. Don't judge people. Because if I went into a store and ran up to somebody, why are you so closed? I saw you do this. Am I going to win friends and influence people? No. And I want to build rapport, increase connection, not push it away.
Okay. Thank you. Perfect.
Does that help?
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Okay, round of applause for her question. And right down here.
So I'm Misty.
Hi, Misty.
Hi. I had a question about how long this process took, because you mentioned that you had this negative thought about people not liking you for so long. To break that in my mind, because I've had this negative thought about myself for my whole life, and then to break that, I'm like, man, this is going to take a lot for me to break this. Like, how long did it take until you got that habit really down?
So that sounded like one question, but it has at least 3 answers. So can I go there? Is that all right? Because you're right. It can feel like it can take forever. But remember I said I had a deeply grooved program, but it took me a week to where I got new blood vessels and I quit putting my hands up. Do you think that meant there was never a time that I caught myself folding my arms again? No. There were times. Because the problem is, Misty, we're still human even after our upgrades.
Yeah.
And because of that, it means that we'll always have another upgrade that we need to make. We don't arrive at perfection on this planet. That's why I did a CD called Perfection's a Direction, Not a Destination. We don't arrive at perfect, but we have a journey along the way. So I still apply the principles to myself every day. Even when I'm up on stage, like today. See, I'll just tell you. This shoe is putting this middle toe to sleep right here. Okay, just so you know. So I keep wanting to put my weight on one leg. and wiggle my toe. And then I'm like, oh, but if I do that, here I am teaching a body language class, they're going to see different messages. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to deal with the pain for right now so that I can send a different message. I'm conscious of it. That's the most important thing. Just like we were just talking about with Angela, that as long as you're conscious of the choice, that's the most important piece. And so now that you're conscious of the negative thought that's going through your head, you pay attention to what body language corresponds with that negative thought. And then you don't have to watch the negative thought as much. You just watch for that piece of body language and have a go-to difference that you're going to go to. Because if you interrupt the body language, it interrupts the program. That's the cool news. You can upgrade, you can interrupt the thought, or you can interrupt the body language, or, really cool idea, interrupt both. You can work on both ends. So you can watch for the body language, and then for me it was folding arms. That was just what it was for me. But for other people it can be other things. You watch for that, and when you see it, you change to a different body language and have a combative declaration to use against the negative comment. So for me it was, people are mean. I can have a combative declaration that people like to have me around. So when I catch the body language, I change it to here, and then I say, people like it when I'm around. So then I'm hitting both areas. I'm interrupting the body language, and I'm interrupting the program. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How long did it? Oh.
And then you don't beat yourself up if it comes back again later, and you're like, oh, I thought I got rid of that. So just do it one more time. It doesn't mean it's gone. And so the answer of how long, individual pieces of change can take anywhere from a day to a week, or they can take longer, but the thing is that it gets less and less as you go down. So if it's a really ingrained one, so like people are mean and they don't like to have me around. Sometimes that still creeps in for me. In fact, it just creeped in yesterday. I had some thought that went through my head, because I was getting ready for this class. And so it was last night, and I had this thought go through my head, people don't really like to come to body language classes. And I'm like, and I've taught how many of them? And yet that thought still wanted to pull me down.
Yeah.
But instead of saying, this is evidence that I've slid all the way back, I just remind myself, I don't think that way anymore. Let's do this instead. So the more important piece is not how long does it take to change. It is, can I learn a new habit and instill the new habit over and over and over and over again, which is interrupt the body language, have a declaration, a positive declaration to interrupt it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So what classes have you been to here? I mean, and by here I mean 3 key elements.
Master Your Influence and the marriage one and Art of Mentoring.
Oh, cool. Excellent. So that's the kind of thing that I work with in group mentoring, is because people can come to the group mentoring and they'll say, okay, this is what I was up against the last week. And I go, yeah, let's do this and this and this. And then they have exact things that they can go do. But if you're not in a 12-week mentoring program, then you just take what you just learned here and you write down those steps. For example, it's 11:58. Can we go just 5 minutes over? Are you guys okay? Okay, I'll finish up here really quick, but I wanted to make sure and get all these questions in. I just had a personal mentoring appointment yesterday, and he came to my office and we're talking, and we found what triggers him into, he called it his kill switch. He says, I have something that happens and then I just quit everything. It just kills all progress. And I'm like, really? Okay, let's find it. So I helped him see exactly what the kill switch was, and then I showed him what to do to overcome it. And this morning I got up and I had like 10 texts from him. He's like, oh my gosh, I was able to do this and this and this and this and this, all because of the one tool. The one tool can go into lots of area of our life. And his appointment was yesterday. So when you say, how long does it take? That wasn't very long, and he has all kinds of new results already. Cool?
Cool. Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Awesome. Big round of applause for all of those questions. Excellent. So when I left the Master Your Influence class, and the mic stands right behind you, if you want to just hand it to her. I left the Master Your Influence class, and I drove home, and I thought, I want to change my body language, but I don't know what to do. And I'm walking into the house, and I stepped in, and all of my kids happened to be sitting in the living room. And I'm like, oh, here's my chance. What do I do? I don't know what to do. Can't look at my notes. They're right here. And so I just went up to the doorway and I said, hi, everyone. I'm home. And my kids looked at me like, Mom's broken. But I'm like, no, I know that I want something new. I don't know what to do yet, but I want something new. So I held my pose. And all of a sudden, my 13-year-old ran across the room and hugged me. My kids were so hungry for me to be open to them that they would take this strange version of Mom standing in the doorway over the one that had been pushing them away. And so that's what started me down this path, because I wanted to be able to have different results. Every time you choose new body language, you increase your results. Every time. How often? Every time. You need to choose the body language. Don't let the body language choose you. You choose the body language. So those of you, a lot of you already told me you're coming to the Master Your Influence class. If you have not been to the Master Your Influence class, I have a special offer for you. I don't have any CDs up here to give away. They have a drawing bowl and no giveaways. Can we remedy that? Yeah, could you do that? In fact, go down and grab me a big stack of the bucket list. Will you do that? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, hey, hang on, Cameron. How many of you have been to Master Your Influence? Okay, or are coming? So almost all of you. All right, so like 10. Go grab like 10 of them. So I'm going to draw 10 names out of here, and I'm going to give you a copy of a CD I did called The Bucket List. It was where I came up with this concept right here. It was where I understood that I had a safety zone and a comfort zone and what I did to get out of it. And so I'm going to give you, they're very old-fashioned. They're like silver discs, and you have to put them in a CD player. Have you heard of those? They're like old technology. My kids, the other day, they were like, what's a CD player? And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. Just my youngest. And so I'm going to do a drawing for those, but we're going to wait just a second for him to get up here. If you have not been to Master Your Influence, or you want to bring somebody with you to Master Your Influence, what I'm going to do is this. Our next, I was about to just say that, actually. The next class is December. What dates in December? You guys are so good. You're like reading my mind now. It's awesome. December 12th through the 14th. Thank you, Voice in the Doorway. That was awesome. So when I first went to Master Your Influence was, I paid $350 to go to Master Your Influence class. If you compare it to other classes out there, I know that my daughter paid $1,800 to go to one in San Diego, California. And she had to fly down there. And when she got home, she goes, I did not learn better things there or more there, Mom, than what I learned when I went to Master Your Influence. Master Your Influence, if you look at the back of your handout, is $227 now. But because you came here today, I'm going to do two things. If you sign you up, or if you sign up to bring somebody with you, I'm going to gift you 4 CDs. 4 CDs. And even if you only bought the 4 CDs, even if you only signed up for Master Your Influence so you could get these 4 CDs, you would be very glad you did. Because the CDs, there are 3 CDs that I made. There's the Bucket List. There's one called Don't Dump Your Cup, which is how to quit pushing away good things in your life. and one called Perfection is a Direction. And that CD is self-explanatory. The fourth one I'm going to give you is one called Building a Mind of Steel. How to reduce the number of negative thoughts that are going through your head on a given basis, on a daily basis. Because studies show that we have 74% of our thoughts are negative. So what we're going to do is you guys online, they're going to give you a link of where you can register for this class. You guys that are in the room, the first 10 people who take advantage of that will get those 4 CDs. And you're going to also get this special tuition. But before I write that, just know, those of you that have been to Master Your Influence before, we still give this amount of value. Even though I'm giving you a special offer, does not mean we're going to reduce the value of the class. We're not going to take out stuff because we gave you a special deal. It's just because we want to have everyone have access. I want to take away all your chicken exits. So our next class is December 12th through the 14th. I'm going to give you a really special offer. The first 10 people get how many CDs? 4. So I want you to choose in before I write that number up there. And then we need some names here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I didn't do one folded like that yet. All right, here we go. So here are I can't do this. Misty? All right, so the winners are Steve Jolly, one right here. And then this one is, can you read that? Walt Bergener? Yes, Walt Bergener. How did I get all the boys? Byron? Is that right? No Byron in the room? Okay, you tell me what this says. Oh, maybe it says Ryan. Oh, it says Ryan. Ryan K. Okay, she's right back there. And then Patty Cook. Patty Cook right up here at the front. And Wendy Reeves. Right there. And Jamie Maddox. Right here. And Ann Bergener. Oh, awesome. Emily Breyer. Yay. So Emily right here. Okay, I'll draw one more. Emily Breyer. And then, whoa, my little guy is falling. Nicole Neer. Irene Lefebvre. Did I say it right? Awesome. And then Elizabeth Larson. Yay. All right. The only thing I'm going to ask, I'm going to give you a really special deal here. The only thing I'm going to ask is this. When you come to the class, come say hi to me. Would you do that? Come say hi to me. The majority of that class is taught by the owner of the company, Kirk Duncan. I'll be at the class in the back. Come say hi to me. Come say hi to me. So the first 10 people get 4 CDs online as well. And your special tuition is? What's the number? 57. Are there any questions about this offer? All right. If you want to register for this class for you or someone else, because remember, my husband registered me, so I get it. You go out to the front desk and talk to them. They'll help you with that. And then if you're interested in my group mentoring or some of our other classes, I'll stay here for a few minutes afterwards. I can answer questions. But with no questions here, give yourselves a big round of applause, and I'll see you next time.